For this report, we will be focusing on the technical transition from paperback books to ebooks, as well as their economical differences. For this technical report, we will be focusing on two middle-class parents, a mother in her mid-50s and a father in his early 60s. Both parents have two different lifestyles and frequency of reading. The father is a pilot who is always on the road and reads whenever he is. This adds up to be about 24 books per year. The mother is a property manager who works during the day and is a casual reader in her free time. This adds up to be about 12 books a year. For the sensitivity analysis, we will be focusing on the frequency of reading for both the mother and the father, as well as the book prices for ebooks and paperback books. The reason for this is because both factors can change over time, so we want to make sure that our recommendation holds up. Our final recommendation ended up being ebooks because it benefited both of their styles of living and because it was the best economical choice. This now brings us to our problem statement, which begs the question, is it more economical for Michael's parents to purchase e-readers and ebooks or to continue purchasing paperback books? For this technical report, we have gathered a list of the following assumptions. The average price of paperback books is $11.30, and the average price of an ebook is $11. We came to these conclusions by looking up the most popular books in all genres and averaging the prices of the book in its paperback and e-reader form. We will assume that the average shipping costs are $3.99 and that the cost of traveling to the store is $1.99. We came to this number by averaging the amount of gas used in the dollar amount for people who live within a 10-mile radius of the store. We will also assume that the cost of our e-reader will be $39.99. This is the cost of one of the cheaper models of Kindles, the Kindle Fire. In our report, the net present value will be used. The reason we needed to calculate the net present value is because money now is worth more than money later. In order to purchase ebooks, a Kindle is needed, which is an initial cost of $39.99. The formula we use to calculate the net present value is shown below. For our statistical analysis, we use cash flow diagrams, net present values compared over time, and a price variability analysis. These two graphs represent Michael's dad's cash flow for both paperback books and ebook/e-readers for a period of 2 years. As you can see, in month 1, the cost is much greater for ebooks than paperback books because of the initial upfront cost of the e-reader, in our case, the Kindle. Every month after the first one, the cost of paperback books is greater because they are more expensive than ebooks once you have a Kindle. Just like the cash flow diagram for Michael's dad, the mom's cash flow diagram behaves very similarly. The only difference is that the money spent every month after the first month is half as less than Michael's dad because Michael's mom doesn't read as often. This graph represents the net present value for Michael's dad. The blue line represents the net present value over time for the ebooks, and the red line represents the net present value for the paperback books. Although it is cheaper to buy paperback books in the first couple of months, the graph shows that it only takes 6 months for Michael's dad to reach the break-even point. This is where purchasing ebooks after buying the Kindle becomes cheaper over time when compared to buying paperback books. This graph represents the net present value for Michael's mom over a 2-year period. The blue line represents the net present value over time for ebooks, and the red line represents the net present value over time for purchasing paperback books. The same thing is happening for Michael's mom in this case, except the only difference is that it takes 13 months for the mom to reach the break-even point. Even though it takes longer, the graph shows that it eventually becomes the cheaper option over time to purchase ebooks. Since ebooks have a history to fluctuate in price over time, we have created a price variability graph to show when buying ebooks is no longer the better option. The blue line represents the ebooks and the red line represents the price of the paperback books. According to the graph, if the price of ebooks ever reached an average value of $13.30, then Michael's dad should consider switching back to paperback books. This graph represents the same situation, but for Michael's mom. The blue line represents the cost of an ebook, and the red line represents the cost of paperback books. This graph shows that Michael's mom should consider switching back to paperback books if the average price of books reaches $12.40. This price is lower for Michael's mom because she doesn't read as many books as Michael's dad, due to her more casual style of reading. After extensively researching if Michael's parents should stick with buying paperback books or switch back to using ebooks, our group recommends that both of Michael's parents should switch to using ebooks. Even with their different lifestyles and frequency of reading, switching to using ebooks will benefit them more than sticking with paperback books. The ebooks versus paperback books was done by SEAL Team 6, and their contributions to the project are shown below. Andres was in charge of writing the bulk of the report. Both myself and Dylan were assigned to researching and assumptions. Tyler was in charge of summarizing the data from our statistical analysis. Cameron was in charge of doing the calculations and showing how they work during sample equations. And finally, Ryan was in charge of the statistical analysis and putting them together, the graphs that were shown in the report. Thank you for watching.